मॉर्निंग। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त मदन सिंह and I'm going to talk to today about a very important war which is going on, that is the bombing by Israel of Iran and the reciprocal attack. मैं आपको military assessment दूंगा. We're not going to concern about the political aims, and political aims आपको पता है क्या है. Iran wants to become a nuclear power and then destroy Israel, and Israel is fighting for survival. That's the basic problem. And Israel had to take the stand, and whether they were justified or no, I won't say anything about it. I'll discuss the military concepts. Military concept ये है कि Israel decided, I think with their American mentors, that the time had come to attack Iran and destroy any attempt to get a nuclear weapon made, rather than an atomic bomb. As per the information which the Israelis had, they had enough uranium to make 9 atomic bombs. So 9 is a big number, and you require only maybe 1 or 2 for Israel. And Iran has been on this war path for the last 10 years. They wanted to become nuclear power, come what may. And they had nuclear negotiations with so many countries, but it was all a facade. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to have their own weapons. Basically, they because to fight America and Israel. So, gentlemen, the die was cast, and the Israelis have struck. Now, one thing bear in mind, that this, I think, was one of the biggest raids of any war. The Israelis used 2,000 planes to go a distance of almost up to 2,000 kilometers, bomb various sites, and come back unscathed. I think it was the most devastating attack after World War II and after the 1967 war, when Nasser had his entire Egyptian Air Force destroyed on the ground. It was a very, very big attack, and one thing bear in mind, that the Israelis used the F-35. Now the F-35 is a very good plane, and it's a stealth fighter, and the Iranians couldn't detect it. That's also a fact. But this plane doesn't have a range of 4,000 kilometers. It can't fly that much. So obviously there were other countries which helped the F-35 reach the targets. I will not hazard a guess on which those countries are, but you can make a guess yourself. There has to be some help from the other countries, like air refueling, for these F-35s to reach the target, bomb, and come back. I think it was one of the most successful and professional attacks in world history. Now, एक बात याद रखिए, what's the important thing is, the Israelis justified the principles of war which were enunciated by Field Marshal Clausewitz. And the Israelis very correctly followed the principle of surprise, achievement of the political aim, destruction of the war potential of the enemy, good cooperation, good intelligence, a complete surprise, and destroying an invincible enemy. There was also good administrative support, in the sense the Israelis had a tremendous amount of intelligence, and the bombing was so successful that one of the top leadership of the Iranian military was wiped out. Now that is a feather in the cap of the Israelis. They fought very well, and I will say they put in a damn good show. Now this is a bit of a dampener for the Iranians, who'd been expecting an attack for so long. Yet when the time came, they were found wanting, and they could shoot, I think, any plane down. And then when they mounted their own assault, it didn't have the same devastating effect which the Israelis had. And they went and hit below the belt. They bombed even the civilian areas. That's what the Iranians did, I'm told. But Israel struck the military targets, strictly the military targets. That's number one. Number two, they were so precision attacking mode that they were able to hit individuals who were leaders of the Revolutionary Guard and other people who were the generals, and they were sent to the next world. They were killed. This is one of the lessons of war, that you must have actionable intelligence, and then you need the technological skill, for the precision attacks. That means technology of a high order. The people and the generals who were staying even in housing flats were hit, and only the flat where they were staying were damaged. They also attacked the nuclear assets of Iran, and substantial damage has been done. In my view, I think Iran is going to be at least 5 to 6 years behind getting a nuclear bomb now. And this is just the first raid. The Israelis have followed up with more raids, and it's going to be a terrible sight as far as Iran is concerned. And in the background, of course, the Americans are sitting. Iranians know that the backers are the Iranians, and they have threatened that they will attack the American bases. Well, they could do it, but that would mean Third World War. America would have to react. America is playing a very, very dubious game because they've instigated Israel to attack. That's the first thing I will say. Number two, they're trying to remain in the background and saying that if something happens, well, Israel will face the music. That's not the way war is fought. When you fight a war, you take risks and you come out in the open. It's not a cloak and dagger battle, with the Americans and Trump are trying. And the Trump is also playing a double game in Ukraine, but I won't talk about it here. Now here the situation is that Iran is on fire. A lot of the pro-Hamas people and the pro-Iranian people in the Indian hierarchy, in the Indian news media, are saying all sorts of absurd things. I saw one channel in which he said that Netanyahu has run away from Israel. I mean, I don't know how people can go around making some silly statements like this. Now, as far as the principles of war are concerned, as I've told you, they achieved the political aim. What is the political aim? To see that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon immediately, and that is they have achieved that. It's going to take some time for the Iranians to manufacture an atomic bomb. And I think the Israelis are going to continue further bombing. And secondly, concentration of force, which is one of the principles of war. They did that. 2,000 planes bombing Israel. I don't think bombing Iran. I don't think the Iranians could ever have expected it. In fact, I didn't know the Israelis had so many planes available, for the attack. And it's been a tremendous thing. 2,000 means they went and made one raid, two raids, and total became almost 2,000. So the Iranians have been caught napping. It's not just been caught napping, they didn't have the ability to face up to this barrage. And then they unleashed hundreds of missiles on Israel. But they didn't have any aircraft which could carry bombers and bombs and bomb Israel. They don't have that sort of punch. Now we'll have to see where the war goes further. I think it's a prolonged war. Iranians are not going to give in. Unless, of course, there is a regime change, which is quite possible because the people there, I don't think, are happy with the way the Iranians are enforcing the Shia concepts all over. And so many young girls have been killed, including even young boys have been hanged, shot dead. And the Iranians try to cover all this up. The facts are facts. The top leadership of Iran, the military leadership and the scientists have been all wiped out. Of course, they have been replaced. But obviously, it will take time for these men to come gathered together. The only man who escaped is I think, president. He ran away somewhere into hiding. I fail to understand what is the motive of Iran to carry a nuclear weapon. They don't really need it. And everything could have been done by sitting across the table. But the Iranians have refused even now to talk to the Americans about the nuclear bomb. And they feel the nuclear bomb is like, the alma mater, the mana, something... Alibaba's wish that you have it and you get everything. It's not going to happen like that. It's a double-edged sword. Iran uses one atomic bomb. I think 10 will fall on Iran, and Iranian civilization, which is very ancient from the time of Darius and other great kings, the Persian Empire, will become history. Nobody knows what's happened to that. So, gentlemen, I think I won't say anything further. If you like my video, please share it with your friends. I've given the military assessment. The military assessment is very good as far as Israel is concerned. I will say, I repeat again, political aim achieved. They had concentration of force, they had surprise, they had intelligence, they had security, they had cooperation, and all this got together into a massive attack, which I think will live in annals of world history. Well, gentlemen, goodbye, take care, and God bless. And I will close and say, Jai Hind.